All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. There is truly indeed a basketball buzz around New York City that has not been there for quite some time. And no, it has nothing to do with the New York Knicks. And of course, the Knicks are having a solid season of their own. But right now, I am talking about the other basketball team that plays at Madison Square Garden, and that would be the St. John's Red Storm. Now, we just saw the Johnnies win the Big East tournament for the first time since 2000, and they are NCAA tournament bound for the first time in 6 years. St. John's is set to open up NCAA tournament play as the 2 seed in the West region this weekend and it starts on Thursday when they will be taking on Omaha in Providence, Rhode Island. Now, historically, the West region has been kind to the Big East Conference, as 10 of the league's 22 Final Four bids since 1979 have come from this part of the bracket. And if you want some more nostalgia, St. John's last trip to the Final Four in 1985 saw them win the West region. Once again, you just have to wonder, will history be on the Johnny side? Okay, you're looking at it right now. Clearly, this group has not made the NCAA tournament. You're looking at a St. John's program that has not won an NCAA tournament game, okay, since 2000. Okay, that was the last time that they were 2 seed. They were also in the West region that year before they bowed out in round number two. So hopefully, for their sake, they're hopeful that things work out a little bit better than that trip. But nonetheless, you're looking at St. John's and their potential path to a Final Four bid. Uh, they have a potential meeting with either Kansas or Arkansas in round number two. And of course, Bill Self's Kansas Jayhawks, always a tough team. And then, John Calipari in year number one got the Razorbacks to the NCAA tournament. I guarantee you, if we're talking about Arkansas St. John's in round number two, it would be must see TV. Why? Because at the end of the day, there is no love lost between St. John's head coach Rick Pitino and Arkansas head coach John Calipari. They both left for the NBA about the same time. When Calipari was at UMass, he left to become the head coach of the New Jersey Nets back in '96. And then when Pitino was at Kentucky in '97, he went back to the NBA to be the head coach of the Boston Celtics. They both left. Well, basically, Calipari was fired, but nonetheless, they ended up back in college around the same time. Calipari at Memphis, and of course, Pitino at Louisville, and they competed against each other for recruits in Conference USA. Both of these head coaches also won national championships at Kentucky, so they're really attached at the hip there. But nonetheless, you look at the road to the Sweet 16 for the Johnnies. If they're able to survive Providence this weekend, a potential meeting possibly with Texas Tech out of the Big 12 and the Sweet 16, and then you look at that upper half of the bracket, the 1 seed Florida, Big East rivals UConn, they could still be dangerous there. You got Oklahoma, you got Memphis, and you have Maryland, just to name a few. I'll tell you like this Johnny's team, where they lack in experience per se in the NCAA tournament, they make up for it with grit, determination, and of course, one Rick Pitino. And of course, when you think about a head coach like Rick Pitino, he's forgotten more about the great sport of basketball than most of us will ever know in a lifetime. When you think about Pitino's teams, you think about the press. He took it to the NBA with him with the Knicks and Celtics. Every stop along the way that he has coached collegiately, he has had that full court press. And I think if St. John's is going to have success in this NCAA tournament, that press defense is going to be important once again. Recently, we've seen St. John's get off the slow starts, but they know how to turn it up in the second half, and that's going to be important in the NCAA tournament. The Johnnies head into the NCAA tournament with a record of 30-4, and you look at their four losses this season: double overtime loss to Baylor out of the Big 12. 3-point loss to Georgia. Then they lost by 1 at Creighton, and then lost by 2 at Villanova. So you're talking about very tight games that the Johnnies lost all throughout. I think this team is going to be battle tested, and the most important thing for them, they have to keep that momentum going from last week's action in the Big East tournament to the NCAA tournament, especially due to the fact that they got Providence for rounds number 1 and 2. I guarantee you there's going to be a big contingent from the New York City area that is going to make the trek up to Rhode Island for this weekend. You look at the big time players for St. John's, RJ Lewis, Zuby Ejiofor, Kadari Richard. He's playing injured, but nonetheless, I think St. John's will be ready for the charge. Like I said before, Patino's battle tested. Patino's been there, done that, and anything can happen in March. And it's all about surviving and advancing, and it's all about getting to the next round. And I think if St. John's is able to go out there and beat Omaha on Thursday evening and then get to Saturday, they're going to get confidence by it. And of course, with each round, the tougher that the games get. But if you're St. John's, you have to start with Omaha. You can't overlook them. And then more than likely, it's going to be Arkansas or Kansas, or not more than likely, it will be either Arkansas or Kansas in round number 2. And you just got to take it from there. Big time momentum for St. John's. Anybody who's affiliated with that program, they've been down on their luck for quite some time. They know that. And of course, a Hall of Fame guy like Rick Pitino has been able to come in and turn things around very quickly. A lot of people are on that Red Storm bandwagon. St. John's has a lot of momentum heading into this NCAA tournament. Let's see if the Johnnies can feed off of that fan base, feed off of their own momentum, and make a run possibly to the Final Four for the first time in 40 years. But, folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank each and every one of you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take this time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you haven't already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Also, if you're on the X, formerly known as Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it'll be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. Now you can check it out. Drop a line to be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin, and I am signing off. I'm saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.